The Formula One world has just been shaken to its core. A bombshell revelation from inside McLaren's ongoing lawsuit has completely flipped what we thought we knew about Oscar Piastri's arrival in Formula One. For years, fans believed McLaren's CEO Zak Brown had orchestrated one of the most daring and controversial signings in recent F1 history, snatching Piastri from Alpine in a dramatic contract battle. But now, new testimony from IndyCar champion Alex Palou suggests that story might not be true at all. In a witness statement presented to London's High Court, Palou claims that Zak Brown never actually wanted to sign Oscar Piastri in the first place. According to Palou, that decision was made by someone else entirely, then team principal Andreas Seidl. If this is true, it could expose a deep internal rift within McLaren's leadership during one of the most critical turning points in the team's modern history. Palou's testimony describes a private dinner at Beaverbrook, a luxury restaurant just outside the McLaren Technology Center, in October 2022. The two sat down to discuss Palou's future, and what Brown allegedly told him that night has sent shockwaves through the sport. "Zak told me it was not his decision to hire Oscar," Palou said. "He told me it was Andreas Seidl's choice." That one line changed everything. It implies that McLaren's top executive was overruled on one of the most important driver decisions in years. Imagine it, the CEO, the man often seen as the face of McLaren's revival, sidelined by his own team principal. If true, that suggests there were deep disagreements about the team's direction and who should be driving their cars. The revelations don't stop there. Palou's statement also claims that Brown tried to comfort him after Piastri's signing, saying his own chances of reaching F1 weren't affected by Oscar's arrival. Brown allegedly said Piastri's performance would be evaluated against yours for 2024. That's right, the team was planning to compare the two drivers, even though Palou was still racing in IndyCar. At the time, Palou thought this meant he still had a genuine shot, but as he explains in his testimony, once he learned about Piastri's deal, "I knew everything had changed." Now here's where things get even more complicated. Zak Brown's own court statement paints a very different picture. He claims Piastri was originally signed on a one-year deal, meaning McLaren wasn't fully committing to him long-term at the start. According to Brown, Palou was Plan B if one of their current F1 drivers was injured, and Plan C if Piastri didn't perform in his rookie season. That might sound reasonable on paper, but it directly contradicts what Palou says he was promised. According to him, Brown repeatedly told him he would be prepared for Formula One, that they would make it happen, and that his path to an F1 seat was real. When the Piastri announcement hit the headlines, Palou says he felt betrayed. "I was upset and angry when McLaren signed Piastri," he admitted. "I believed Zak was being honest." Now, that disappointment has turned into a full-scale legal war. McLaren is suing Alex Palou for an eye-watering $21 million, accusing him of breaking a binding agreement when he chose to stay with Chip Ganassi Racing instead of moving to McLaren's IndyCar team. McLaren's argument is that Palou's IndyCar seat was meant to be a stepping stone to Formula One, and by backing out, he cost them millions in investment and lost opportunity. But Palou's defense is powerful and emotional. He claims McLaren misled him from the very beginning, feeding him promises about Formula One that were never genuine. His lawyers argue that the Piastri signing, especially if it wasn't Brown's own decision, proves the team was never truly serious about putting Palou in an F1 car. The plot thickens even further when you look at what was happening behind the scenes. Court documents reveal that Palou was in touch with Helmut Marko, Red Bull's motorsport advisor, about a potential AlphaTauri seat for 2023, but that opportunity vanished suddenly after a direct call between Marko and Zak Brown. If that's true, it suggests Brown might have actively blocked Palou from joining Red Bull's junior team, another blow to Palou's dream of reaching F1. This paints a fascinating picture of control, politics, and power plays happening quietly behind Formula One's glamorous surface. And it all circles back to that dinner, the night Zak Brown allegedly admitted that Piastri's signing wasn't his call. Fast forward to today, and the irony couldn't be sharper. Oscar Piastri is not only succeeding, he's leading McLaren's charge for the championship, proving himself as one of the most consistent and impressive drivers on the grid. For someone who supposedly wasn't the CEO's pick, his results are the ultimate vindication. Meanwhile, Andreas Seidl, the man Palou says made the call, has already left McLaren to join Sauber, soon to become Audi's F1 team. His departure just months after the Piastri deal was completed adds another layer of intrigue. Was Seidl's exit connected to internal tensions over the signing, or was it simply the next step in his career? What's undeniable is that McLaren, once a model of stability, seems to have been operating under competing visions. Brown's more corporate, brand-driven approach versus Seidl's pure racing instinct. And right in the middle of that power struggle stood two drivers, one whose dream was broken, and another whose destiny is now rewriting F1 history. The lawsuit between McLaren and Palou isn't just about money anymore. It's about trust, credibility, and how far teams will go to secure talent in one of the most ruthless sports on earth. If Palou wins, it could send shockwaves through every F1 junior program. Teams might be forced to make their development contracts far more transparent, ensuring young drivers aren't strung along with vague promises of potential F1 seats. But if McLaren wins, it would set the opposite precedent, a warning to drivers that walking away from any contractual commitment, even one built on broken promises, comes with a heavy price tag. At its core, this story is about two things: ambition and trust. Palou dreamed of F1 and believed McLaren could make it happen. Zak Brown dreamed of building a multi-series racing empire, connecting IndyCar, F1, and beyond. And Oscar Piastri dreamed of proving he belonged at the top. Now, all three stories have collided in a courtroom. As more evidence surfaces, we're learning that behind McLaren's bright orange cars and smiling podiums, there's been a battle brewing between personal ambitions, professional promises, and corporate politics. Even McLaren fans are torn. Some defend Zak Brown, saying he's doing what any modern CEO must, juggling partnerships, legal risks, and brand strategy. Others say the case exposes a darker side to the team's recent resurgence. But perhaps the most fascinating irony of all is that the driver who wasn't supposed to be McLaren's future, Oscar Piastri, might now become the face of it. This story reminds everyone watching Formula One that behind every major signing, every polished press release, and every handshake photo, there are whispered conversations, hidden rivalries, and private promises that can change careers forever. For now, the case is far from over. McLaren is holding firm, Palou is standing his ground, and every new court document adds more fuel to the fire. But one thing's certain, the truth about how Oscar Piastri joined McLaren is far messier, more political, and more human than anyone ever realized. So, what do you think? Did Zak Brown really get overruled in his own team? Or is Alex Palou spinning a story to save himself from a $21 million penalty? Either way, Formula One just got a reminder that sometimes the biggest battles don't happen on the track. They happen behind closed doors.